the revolutionary ankle lock system, an integrated brace built into the boots, delivering unrivaled support, protecting ligaments from twists, tears, and trauma.
Matt Lenihan, Boxing Social, in association with Empire Fight Star and Our Kings Competitions. Gareth A. Davies, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since you had you on, but no more of an appropriate time, really, is there? After what we saw last night, Conor Benn got his revenge on Chris Eubank Jr. Interesting words from both of them after the fight, but just I've sort of seen yourself, Dave Allen, and people talk about it, but just to refresh everyone, what's your sort of main takeaway from this fight as a whole?
A+ for Conor Benn, a magnificent performance. He was brilliant all week. He was fantastic in the fight. And a C-, and congratulations to him, a C- for Chris Eubank Jr., who in retrospect, looking back on it, I mean, I think I was alongside the panel last night on TalkSport, and we felt like we were watching an aging fighter unfolding in front of us, maybe aging overnight during the fight. But I think he's probably had a bad weight cut as well, because he didn't seem to have much power. He didn't seem to have timing. His body gave out on him. He was listless. He was slothful in there. There was no snap about him. So I think, and also looking at his comments afterwards, like the comments between each other were great. They were both generous and magnanimous in victory and defeat. But I think the weight cut has finally affected him. I'm not sure the last fight took a lot out of him. But I think the last weight cut, that's taking nothing away, Matt, from what Conor Benn did.
I was going to say, when I was looking at it myself, I'm like, I almost don't want to say anything regarding Chris, because I thought, and I spoke to Conor in the press conference about this, how he completely went from emotional, head coming off the first fight, to seasoned boxer, mature performance, distance control, jab. I thought he boxed brilliantly. And one thing I would say is, when you look at Chris, he looked a bit frail at times, and I just thought it weren't even a lot of snaps, some of them punches from Conor, but he looked like he could go over, and he was like, I don't want that to take away almost from what was, I thought, an outstanding performance from Conor.
Well, Conor didn't get overexcited. He just kept to his game plan, even though you could see that Chris was finding it hard to find a foothold in the contest. It just wasn't there for him. There weren't moments. There were very few moments of success. There were one or two. I mean, I scored it 10 rounds to 2 with that last round of 10-7 in terms of rounds, 10 rounds to 2. And the 2 rounds that I gave Chris Eubank were just marginal as well. He won them marginally. I can't remember a dominant round, whereas you look at the highlights of the first fight and he had lots of dominant moments. He certainly was lacking huge amounts of power, skill, yes, resilience and tenacity showed all the way to the end. He's a very proud fighter, but it doesn't surprise me that some of my colleagues say that they don't think he should step in a ring again, that it's dangerous for him, it's a dangerous sport. But I think that weight cut took it out of his body, and I think finally Eubank Senior's words are ringing true, and it's going to be dangerous for him if he continues to cut this weight. And also, it's that second day hydration clause as well, that second day weigh-in clause. I think it showed this time that obviously he didn't want to pay the fine, the forfeiture, best part of 400 grand last time. Didn't want to pay the forfeiture this time. He racked his body to get down to weight. He kind of hinted at it afterwards, maybe, Matt, either that or injuries in camp.
He didn't want to say it. He didn't want to say what it was, but it was almost like when someone asked him about performance and he went, well, you saw what I did in there. As if to say, you can see what you're seeing is what you're seeing, kind of thing.
I think there's an element with Chris Eubank where he is overestimating his age and what he can do. Conor Benn's a very tenacious fighter who was going to draw him into a dogfight at some point anyway. He didn't need to on Saturday night. He didn't need a dogfight because he outboxed Chris Eubank, which was the least likely scenario going into it. And again, people get very sensitive about these things. That's not disparaging Conor Benn or his team or Tony or Eddie or any of them that put this stuff together with him. But you'd have thought that Eubank, given the first fight, would outbox Conor again. And that's what you thought would have to happen, that Conor would have to force the pace. He didn't have to. He just kept applying the pressure, There wasn't even a snap in Eubank's jab.
No, and that's one of the most telling things, I think, after round 2 or 3. I thought, is he waiting for Conor to gas? And then is this part of the plan? He's going to almost, when it gets to round 6, flip the script. And eventually when you realise, oh, actually, this isn't coming at all. What I want to touch on as well, I couldn't believe this. So I'm like you, I had it 10-2, 11-1. It was a shutout, and they were swing rounds that I kind of gave him because I wasn't 100%. But one of the scorecards, John Latham's scorecard, was level at 8 rounds. Now, I'm not one for blasting anyone, and I'm not gonna. But what is going on?
You want me to do it for you, yeah?
No. But what am I missing? Something? There's not one person I spoke to who could give him more than 2, 3 at an absolute Hail Mary push. And that's not me disrespecting Chris. It was just Conor's night. How is it level at 8 rounds?
Yeah, I don't see that at all. I mean,
fuck me, like crazy.
6-2, 7-1. It did seem very unlikely to be giving. That's just as how John's seen it. I think John had a bad time earlier on in the night as well. This again, I know John. I've got very good friends with John. I thought the
Castle Esserman.
Catrell Esserman fight, that could have been stopped a little sooner as well, in my view, and he could have been a little firmer about the stoppage at the end. I didn't like to see Esserman in so much damage, 7 or 8 unpunched in the end. But the trouble is, again, he's the engine, he keeps going. We don't want to single out John here, he's a terrific official. But yeah, some people just see that sometimes. Listen, I scored Callum Smith and Boatsy. I keep saying this, because my score is out there, and I publish my scores. I scored Boatsy and Callum Smith a draw, and I don't know why I scored it a draw, because all the highlights in my head are Callum Smith with a few rallies from Joshua Boatsy going back to the February 22nd card, which seems a very long time ago now, by the way. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's an inexact science, and it's very subjective, and that's all you can put it down to. But I like you, I had it 7-1 or 6-2. Then I haven't got it in front of me here, but Ben was just winning round after round.
In terms of what's next for both, we sort of hinted at what possibly could be next for Chris, unless he decides to move up in the weight and all that kind of stuff. But what could be next for Conor? I see everybody's thinking and going down to 147, and I understand that the position they got the WBC with Barrios. I look at that and go, a lot of weight to shift, but I'm sure there's a scientific way of doing it. Do you think that's the right thing for Conor to do, or do you think you stop at 154? Either way, there's good fights everywhere, but is the Barrios fight the one where he goes, I could drop down and that's a really winnable fight for me, and then whatever happens after that, we can maybe move back up? What do you think?
There's a few things to consider, Matthew, because he's just been paid 16 million or 17 million for 2 fights. He's not going to get 8 million for fighting Barrios, yeah?
No.
So for me, yes, win a world title. Yes, win it at a certain weight division. I think Conor Benn should be in prize fights now. Fight Ryan Garcia, fight Devin Haney, fight the big names, fight Teo Lopez. Yes, get a world title and then fight them. Mario Barrios is a beatable guy for Conor Benn, in my view. Let's not underestimate Barrios. Who was it? A draw with Pacquiao? It was a draw, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, well, I thought Pacquiao pipped that, by the way. But
yeah, I think I did.
At 7-5, I had it on the night. But he's become a mainstream crossover star after this. He's a welterweight that's beaten a middleweight, regardless of the performance of Chris Eubank on the night, because without Conor Benn, there wouldn't have been that performance from Eubank. So we have to give him fulsome praise for what he achieved. That notwithstanding, it may be a push. His neck looks thicker. He looks a bigger person, having come up to 160, and he made the full weight, didn't he? And certainly 169 and 159, just under the limits. I don't know. I think 154. I think he's going to have a very tough night against Virgil Ortiz and Boots Ennis at 154. I don't see him beating either of those guys, I'm afraid to say. But I just think it's about matchups for him now. Getting the big names over here, putting him on in stadium fights in the UK, putting him on in big arenas in the UK, and maybe doing an American fight. But we'll have to see whether he's got a great team around him. And I'm sure that that he's 29 as well, by the way. That's worth thinking about because we think of Conor as like 25 still, but he's 29 now.
No.
So maybe he will have to stay at 154. He's not going to stay at middleweight. The obvious one for me is try and make 147, try and win a world title, and then not worry about the world titles, but just and be Barrios, for example, WBC, but then have the Ryan Garcia fight, have the Devin Haney fight, have the Shakur Stevenson fight, have the Tio Lopez fight.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 5 fights from him. He's going to earn 50 million for all of those.
Yeah, potentially more as well if he manages to beat a few of them along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me ask, so obviously away from this event, I know you spoke to other outlets through the week, the Joshua Jake Paul stuff really picked up. I was very interested in your opinion on it, and I've seen Dave Allen's opinion on it as well. And it as soon as it came out, everything I was seeing across the timeline was quite a lot of it negative, and I was expecting quite a lot of fair enough, thank God, we get to see someone actually go for Jake Paul kind of thing. But it was more, why is Anthony Joshua doing that kind of thing? But we know why he's doing it. Let's not kid ourselves. It's a lot of money for what should be because of his accomplishments, and I don't want to disrespect Jake, but he's lost to Tommy Fury on paper, so you go what should be a more than comfortable job for potentially one of his biggest ever paydays.
Yeah, but my biggest issue is feeling uncomfortable about Anthony Joshua being in a ring with Jake Paul more than you just said. He lost to Tommy Fury. They'd never allow Tommy Fury in a ring with Anthony Joshua at heavyweight here in the UK. It wouldn't be licensed. Of course, it's only about money. Obviously, it's entertainment as well, and it's like one of the heavyweight stars. But it's very different to Anthony Joshua facing Francis Ngannou, reputed to be the heaviest puncher in the world at the time and the former UFC heavyweight champion. That was a cross codes fight. This is a freak show fight. Yes, it's entertaining. Of course it is. My biggest thing is it shouldn't be licensed because unless it's an exhibition, it shouldn't be a proper boxing match with a heavyweight who's one of the most dangerous finishers in the world, being allowed to go in there and beat up Jake Paul for the entertainment of fans. Yes, what I'm saying is I will cover it because it's part of our sport. I will write about it. I will broadcast about it. But I'm just uncomfortable about the permission to let Anthony Joshua loose on Jake Paul. They're so far apart. It's just as ridiculous as Jake Paul fighting Gervonta Davis. Now, I wasn't going to be at that and wouldn't have been at that, but still it felt, I never believed it would happen. Sitting here right now, I still don't believe I'm going to see Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua in a ring. Yet the rumour mill around me, yet the dates being suggested, is it going to be December 19th? Is it going to be Miami? Is it going to be announced this week? Is there going to be a press conference at some point this week? Some people are going to be in Riyadh at Benavidez versus Yard. I'm going to be in Miami doing BKB 48. Lucas Brown facing or chasing Gustavo Trujillo for the heavyweight title. I'm working over there this week. I mean, there's so much going on over here. We know that there's talks going, Turkey Al Sheikh's here. There's talk about MVP team members, certain people being here tomorrow and Tuesday, people being warmed up for interviews with them. It's all happening behind the scenes.
You've heard everything I've heard, everything you just said there about MVP potentially being in town, the date, the location, and everybody saying, look, we're getting close to a finalised fight. Just before we wrap this up, Jake Paul, for many years, we've always said fight a real boxer, but there's fighting a real boxer, then there's fighting one of the elites. And however you want to cut it, I think Anthony Joshua is still probably what is he still top 10 heavyweight in the world comfortably?
Okay,
Would you say?
clearly, he's of
Clearly,
course 10 heavyweight in the world,
yeah.
two-time heavyweight champion, capable of beating
That's
anyone on his day, anyone on his day,
that's what I'm
capable of
saying.
beating Tyson Fury or even he was better against Alexander Usyk in the second fight. Listen, don't get me wrong. I am not against Anthony Joshua doing this. I just think it sets the wrong precedent. I don't see there being anywhere. This must be Jake Paul's last fight, as far as I can see it. I can't believe, and Eddie Hearn said this as well, I can't believe that Jake Paul is taking the risk, that he's egotistical enough, that he's crazy enough to step into a ring with Anthony Joshua. With Anthony Joshua. It's unbelievable.
To do promoters then, forget, obviously, Nikisa and Jake, they'll say they want it then. So from your point of view, obviously Eddie Hearn's been around the sport and he won't want to begrudge Joshua a payday, but from his point of view, would he not look at it and go, whether he likes Jake or not, there's a big safety thing here? Like,
No, it's not what he's not in the business of that. Hang on.
morally, like, it's bad, isn't it?
Eddie's been sensitive about things I've written this week. So what I want to be clear about is this, because I don't want to confuse the issue anymore, because I'm a huge advocate of Eddie Hearn and what he does and what he's done for the sport and what he does ongoing. I have a fantastic relationship with him, a professional relationship with him. I don't go around his house. He doesn't come around mine. We don't go out for dinner, but it's always a brilliant professional relationship. And I spoke to Barry last night on TalkSport, live on TalkSport, and interviewed him. Of course they're going to take it. If I was the promoter, I would take it. But other people may argue that there's a duty of care for the other guy as well. He's not. This is as he said, his client could have earned $1 million for facing a top 100 guy, or he could earn 50 million for fighting Jake Paul or boxing Jake Paul. It's a no-brainer, and I get it. And if I was in his position, I'd be doing the same thing. I wouldn't stop my client. I wouldn't advise my client against doing it. I'm just pointing out, from my perspective as a correspondent on the sports, that I think it sets a dangerous precedent for a commission in the United States to license, like you just said, an elite heavyweight, top 10 in the world, arguably one of the most dangerous punchers in the heavyweight division right now.
Facts.
Loose on a guy who is, he's been involved 5 years, but he's a novice boxer. He's a novice boxer that would probably win an area title. Probably wouldn't even win the British title right now. So it's an unfair fight as far as I'm concerned. And we do have to think about the safety of the fighters. If Jake Paul wants to do it, that's up to him. But I think it's very foolhardy. It may still not happen.
Yeah, we'll sort of wait and see.
Sitting here tonight, I know there's certain people arriving tomorrow. Well, they were a couple of days ago. I haven't heard from them ever since. In the last couple of days, we've been busy with Ben and Eubank. We're hearing it's going ahead, but a part of me wonders whether it's just noise as well.
Yeah.
Because I also half expect Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua to be announced very soon as well. I mean, I have been following this story very closely in the last few weeks. I've written big pieces about it. I knew weeks ago that they were looking to line them up with the warm-up fight and then both Fury and Joshua warm-up fight early in the year and then a fight.
September.
Yeah, September between them, or late summer, I heard, or something. It could be slightly earlier even. But I was thinking Wembley rather than Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which Turki Al-Sheikh seemed to be alluding to yesterday.
Yeah.
In short interviews. So I knew this was going on. I talk to people behind the scenes. It's what I do. I don't make stuff up. I'd never make stuff up. It's from having conversations by trying to go to the source. Yeah. So, hopefully we'll get that announced. Hopefully it's just noise, but if it does happen, it happens. And if something bad happens to Jake Paul, we'll have to face the consequences. The sport will have to face the consequences. I think what Eddie Hearn was annoyed about was the Telegraph headline said that Anthony Joshua would ruin his legacy and it would demean boxing. I didn't write that headline, but in a sense, that is true. Because the great heavyweight champion of the world, ex-heavyweight champion of the world, brilliant fighter, great guy, Big following. Shouldn't be going in there to hurt Jake Paul and knock him out just for our pleasure. But that's the way of the world.
Yeah. Well, look, a lot of things coming up. We've obviously got the Riyadh season card. You're doing the bare knuckle in Miami, I believe.
Florida Pines.
Florida Pines. A lot going
Live
on.
on TalkSport next Saturday night. Live on TalkSport YouTube channel.
Absolutely, get that plug in there, Gareth. Live on TalkSport. Always a pleasure having you on, my mate, and we will catch up when you're back from the bare knuckle. We'll obviously talk about that, and we'll talk about what's going to be announced potentially over the next week or so. We'll catch up.
Oh, I think it will be. By the time we speak again, I think it'll be announced. And if you need more, just ring me.
Will do. No worries, mate. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
The revolutionary ankle lock system, an integrated brace built into the boots, delivering unrivaled support, protecting ligaments from twists, tears, and trauma.